Hey there, I'm Frank. Back in '68, I was dodging bullets in the jungles of Vietnam. Never thought 50 years later, my biggest daily battle would be remembering which pills to take and when. Funny how life works, isn't it? For years, my medication routine was absolute chaos. 12 different prescriptions, different doses, different times. Some with food, some without. VA doctors adding new ones, changing others. It was overwhelming, and I'm not ashamed to admit. I was messing up. Missing doses. Taking doubles. It got so bad my daughter started calling every night to check on me. But that all changed when I figured out a system. A simple system that gave me back my independence. And maybe even saved my life. I'll never forget the day everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning, and I woke up feeling like my heart was trying to escape from my chest. Sweating dizzy the whole 9 yards. My neighbor found me on the floor and rushed me to the VA hospital. The doctor looked at me with that serious face they practice in medical school and said, "Frank, you've been doubling up on your blood pressure medication for 3 days straight." I tried to argue, but deep down, I knew he was right. My pill bottles were all identical. The labels blurred together. And my memory, well, it ain't what it used to be. That was my wake-up call. The doctor said something that stuck with me. "Frank, medication doesn't work if you don't take it correctly." Simple as that, but it hit me hard. I realized I needed a system, not just for convenience, but for survival. Coming home from Vietnam in '71, I promised myself I'd never ask for help again. Saw too many guys struggle with that transition, and I was determined to handle everything on my own. That stubborn independence served me well for decades, building houses, raising kids, living life. But at 75 years old, with a medicine cabinet that looked like a small pharmacy, I had to swallow something tougher than any pill: my pride. My daughter kept suggesting these pill organizers, reminder apps, all these modern solutions. I'd nod along and then go right back to my chaotic system of opening 8 different bottles every morning, afternoon, and night. It wasn't just about forgetting anymore. It was about admitting that I needed a system, that I couldn't trust my memory. For a guy who could still recite the names of every man in his platoon, that was a hard thing to accept. My first attempt at getting organized was pretty pathetic looking back. I bought one of those little plastic pill boxes from the drugstore, with the 7 compartments marked with days of the week. Thought I was being clever. Day 1, I realized my mistake. I take pills 4 times a day: morning, noon, dinner, and bedtime. This little box only had 1 compartment per day. Plus, some of my pills were too big to fit more than 3 in each section. Then I tried setting alarms on my phone. My grandson set it up for me, very proud of himself. But I'd be out in the garden or at the VFW hall and wouldn't hear it. Or I'd hear it, turn it off, and promptly forget why it was ringing in the first place. I tried color-coding my pill bottles with those little stickers. Blue for morning, yellow for afternoon, and so on. That worked until my arthritis flared up and I couldn't get the childproof caps off. Ended up dumping several bottles trying to open them. Each failure was frustrating, but it also taught me something about what I needed in a system. After months of trial and error, I finally found a system that works for me. And it's not fancy, not expensive, and doesn't require a smartphone with all those confusing apps. First, I invested in a proper pill organizer. Not those flimsy dollar store types. This one has 4 compartments for each day and is large enough for all my medications. Cost me about $30, but worth every penny. The compartments are labeled morning, noon, evening, and bedtime, no confusion there. Every Sunday afternoon, I sit down at my kitchen table with my coffee and fill it for the week. It's become a ritual, almost meditative. I line up all my medication bottles, my prescription list from the VA, and methodically fill each compartment. The real game changer, though, was adding a checklist. I created a simple chart, days of the week across the top, times of day down the side. After I take each dose, I check it off. Such a simple thing, but it eliminates that nagging question: did I take my pills already? For my medications that don't fit a regular schedule, like my as-needed pain pills or the antibiotic I take only on Mondays and Thursdays, I have a separate small container with a note taped to the top with specific instructions. And you know what? This system, it works. It just works. Any veteran knows that dealing with the VA healthcare system can be an adventure. Every few months, it seems like my doctors change something new. Medications, different dosages, discontinued prescriptions. Before my system, these changes would throw everything into chaos. I'd have bottles with different instructions, wouldn't know which was current, and would sometimes take outdated medications for weeks before realizing my mistake. Now I have a dedicated notebook where I record every change. Date, doctor's name, medication changed, and the new instructions. When I'm filling my weekly organizer, I double-check against this notebook. I've also learned to ask questions, lots of questions. Why am I taking this? What happens if I miss a dose? Does this replace my old medication or add to it? The doctors sometimes seem annoyed, but I don't care. It's my body, my health. And here's something I wish someone had told me years ago. Those pharmacists at the VA, they're a goldmine of information. I've got my pharmacist's direct line saved in my phone. Whenever I have a question about my medications, I call her first. She's explained interactions, helped me time my doses better, even suggested ways to minimize side effects. Let me tell you something that surprised me about this whole process. The emotional impact. I didn't expect that. For years, every time I looked at those pill bottles, I felt defeated. Each one represented something wrong with me, something broken. The heart that wasn't working right. The joints that ached constantly. The nightmares that still hadn't gone away after 5 decades. But something changed when I got my system in place. Those pills transformed from symbols of my decline into tools I was using strategically. I was in control again. My daughter noticed it first. She called one evening for her usual check-in, and instead of my standard grumbling, I launched into an explanation of my new organization system. There was pride in my voice, and she heard it. "Dad," she said, "you sound different," and I was different. I was sleeping better because I was taking my sleep medication consistently. My pain was more manageable because I wasn't missing doses. But beyond the physical benefits, I felt competent again. There's a special kind of helplessness that comes with aging, watching your body, and sometimes your mind become less reliable. Getting control of this one aspect of my life, it spilled over into other areas. I started keeping a calendar of appointments, reorganized my tool shed, even started planning meals for the week. All because I figured out how to manage my pills. Imagine that. Here's something I never anticipated: how my pill management system would connect me with other veterans. It started at my weekly coffee meetup with other Vietnam vets at the local diner. I pulled out my pill organizer for my morning dose, and Jim, who served with the 25th Infantry, noticed it. That's quite a setup you've got there, Frank, he said. Before I knew it, I was explaining my system to 5 guys who were all struggling with the same issues. The next week, 3 of them had bought similar organizers. We started sharing tips, comparing notes on VA prescriptions, even helping each other remember refill dates. Our waitress jokes that we've turned the corner booth into a pharmacy support group, but it goes deeper than that. These conversations opened up discussions about our health that we'd been avoiding. Men from our generation. We don't talk about our health problems easily. Weakness isn't something we acknowledge willingly. But somehow discussing pill organizers made it acceptable to mention the prostate issues, the heart problems, the PTSD symptoms. One of the guys, Mike, admitted he'd been skipping his PTSD medication because it made him feel weak to need it. After our talks, he started taking it regularly again. His wife sent me a thank you card. Can you believe that? All because of a plastic box with compartments. I've even started volunteering at the VA hospital once a month, showing other vets how to set up similar systems. The nurses love it because it helps their patients, and I love it because, well, it feels good to serve again, even in this small way. Now I don't want to paint this as all sunshine and roses. Getting this system to work has had its challenges, and I'm still making adjustments. Travel was my first big hurdle. My organizer is bulky, great for home use, not so great for fitting in a suitcase when I visit my son in Colorado. I learned to use a smaller travel version for trips, and I pre-fill it before leaving home. Then there's the issue of medication changes midweek. When the doctor adds something new or changes a dosage, I have to remember to adjust what's already in my organizer. I've started keeping a pair of tweezers in my medicine cabinet, specifically for removing pills from compartments when needed. Power outages presented another unexpected problem. My bedtime reminder is a small lamp on a timer that comes on at 9 p.m., my signal to take my final pills. During a 3-day power outage last winter, my routine was completely thrown off. Now I keep a battery-operated timer as backup. The biggest ongoing challenge is prescriptions that run out at different times. Some of my medications come in 30-day supplies, others 90 days. Some can be refilled automatically, others require a doctor's visit first. It's like juggling with different sized balls. I've started keeping a calendar exclusively for tracking refill dates, with reminders set 7 days before I'll run out. And of course, there's the cost. Medicare covers most of my prescriptions, but not all. Some months the copays add up to more than I'd like to spend. I've had frank conversations with my doctors about finding less expensive alternatives when possible, and I've learned to use the VA's mail-order pharmacy program to save on some medications. These challenges haven't disappeared, but they've become manageable problems rather than overwhelming obstacles. If you're watching this and feeling overwhelmed by your own medication routine, I want you to know something important. You're not alone, and it can get better. Start simple. Don't try to create the perfect system overnight. Begin with organizing just one time of day, maybe your morning. Pills. Once that becomes habit, expand to your full day, then to a multi-day organizer. Be patient with yourself. I dropped an entire week's worth of pills on my kitchen floor the first time I tried filling my organizer. Had to start over, sorting through the mess pill by pill. It was frustrating, but now I can fill a week's worth in under 15 minutes. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's a family member, a pharmacist, or a fellow veteran, reaching out isn't weakness, it's strategy. My daughter helped me create my first checklist template. Now I make them myself, but I needed that initial help. Consider your specific needs. My hands get stiff from arthritis, so I needed compartments that open easily. My eyesight isn't what it used to be, so I needed large print on my labels. Your perfect system might look different from mine. Use analog backups for digital reminders. If you use a phone alarm, also have a written reminder somewhere visible. Technology fails, but a note taped to your coffee maker doesn't need batteries. Be honest with your doctors. If a medication is too complicated to take, or if the side effects are making you want to skip it, speak up. There might be alternatives with simpler dosing schedules or fewer side effects. And most importantly, give yourself credit for each small improvement. You don't have to create a perfect system all at once. Each pill taken correctly is a victory. Each day you stick to your schedule is progress. You know, at the heart of all this pill organization talk is something much more important: independence and dignity. When I came back from Vietnam, I made a promise to myself that I would live on my own terms, that I would make my own decisions, that I would maintain my independence for as long as humanly possible. As the years have passed and my health has presented more challenges, keeping that promise has gotten harder. There have been moments like when my daughter was calling daily to check if I'd taken my medications, when I felt that independence slipping away. But this system, it's more than plastic compartments and check marks on paper. It's a way of saying I can manage this. I can take care of myself. There's dignity in that. There's pride in looking at a completed checklist and knowing you've done what you needed to do to take care of your health. There's satisfaction in telling your doctor, yes, I've been taking everything as prescribed, and knowing you're being completely truthful. And there's profound relief for your family members when they see you taking control. My daughter doesn't call daily anymore. We talk a couple times a week now, and we discuss her kids and her job instead of my pills. Our relationship has returned to father-daughter instead of patient-caretaker. That alone was worth the effort of creating this system. I think about the guys I served with in Vietnam who aren't here anymore. Some didn't make it back from the war. Others came home but lost battles with illness, addiction, or the invisible wounds of PTSD in the decades since. I owe it to them to take care of the life I still have. And that includes taking the right pills at the right time. So yes, medication management might seem like a small thing in the grand scheme of life. But it's not. It's about claiming responsibility for your health. It's about maintaining independence as long as possible. And ultimately, it's about respect for yourself, for your body, and for the life you still have ahead of you. So there you have it, how this old soldier finally won the battle against medication chaos. It didn't happen overnight. It took some trial and error, some humility, and a willingness to create new habits. But the payoff has been enormous. My blood pressure is stable now. My pain is better managed. My doctors are happier with my progress. And most importantly, I've regained confidence in myself and my ability to manage my own health. If you're struggling with your own medication routine, whether it's 2 pills or 20, I hope something in my story helps you find your way. Maybe it's the specific system I use, or maybe it's just the permission to admit you need a better approach. Either way, taking control of your medications is one of the most important things you can do for your health. You know, back in Vietnam we had a saying, proper preparation prevents poor performance, the 5 Ps. Turns out that applies to civilian life just as much as it did in combat. I'd love to hear what systems work for you. Leave a comment below with your own medication management tips. And if you found this helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel for more practical health management advice from those of us who have learned the hard way. This is Frank signing off. Remember, it's your health, your life, and you deserve to have both as organized and peaceful as possible. Until next time, take care. And don't forget your pills.